3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Welcome to ASD Market Week's YouTube series, Retail Revelations Inside the Deal. This episode is brought to you by our sponsor and partner, Cole Imports and Closeouts. Make sure you check them out at their website at www.coleimports.com. Hello and welcome to Retail Revelations Inside the Deal. I'm Stephanie Beringhele, and joining us today we have a retail celebrity guest. He's also the co-founder of Whizbang Retail Training. Please welcome Bob Negen. Bob, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. I'm honored to be here.
You know, you've changed a little bit. I've been watching a lot of your YouTubes and TVs, and there seems to be a little bit more scruff these days.
Well, so we go on a long vacation every year. We have Susan's great-grandfather built a cottage in the middle of nowhere. And so we always go for 2 or 3 weeks. One of the things we teach is you have to get away from your business. And when I came back, I thought, maybe it's time for a little different look. I got new glasses also, Stephanie. So, it's a different look.
Well, it looks good on you. I think the paparazzi have left you alone. So, Bob, for those that might not be familiar with you or Whizbang, why don't you give us a brief rundown?
Sure. So for 19 years, I was a retailer. When I was 23 years old, I had just graduated from college and I didn't want to get a real job. And I had a new hobby, and that hobby was kite flying. And so when you pair those up, don't want to get a real job, love flying kites, the only natural decision was to open a kite store, because how hard can it be to run a retail store, right? So I went up to Mackinac City, Michigan, and let me see if I can get this on the screen. There's Michigan. Mackinac City is right at the top of the Lower Peninsula, and I started one of the world's first kite stores. And I hired my brother, my younger brother, that first year. For 19 years. We ran and grew that business together. And then in 1999, I sold my share of the company to my brother, Steve, and Susan, who is my wife, who also worked with us at at the Mackinac Kite Company. We started Whizbang Retail Training.
Well, I want to go back. So you're 23, and I think it's so important because to take one, you need to know one. And so you decided at a ripe young age that you were going to just invest in yourself, combine these two elements, and create something. So what was the driving force that you decided you could do this and you wanted to do it?
I was young and dumb.
Oh.
Babe, I might be. That might not be quite accurate. So let's go back just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I had $2,000 in cash. So I started my business in $2,000 in cash. I had zero retail experience. And at the time, I only owned 4 kites. So, the statistical odds of the Mackinac Kite Company still being there are, almost zero. But, it just, I don't know, it sounded exciting. It sounded fun. Why do people get on their bikes and decide to ride all the way across the country? I don't truly, Stephanie, I don't know what made me do it, but it just seemed right. So I did.
Well, what's interesting about that, so I was reading up on it, you actually got an award for that kite store. And it sounds like you were able to take the store and really go outside to the community and say, hey, we want you all to be a part of this. Come on through. And that's where experience played a part in it. So what did that look like for you to grow and to say, hey, community, we want you to be involved in this?
Sure. So, one of the things that all successful independent brick and mortar retailers do is focus on the customer experience. And, Steve and I, we had no business experience, right? We were just a couple of young guys who were throwing a lot of energy at it. If you were to describe, I describe the vibe as a post-collegiate beach bungalow. Truly, if you came into the store, it was merchandised horribly. The displays were terrible. when my wife Susan saw it for the first time, she was a department store executive. She worked for
Oh,
Macy's and Lord and Taylor and Bloomingdale's. And then here she comes to work with us. And, we were just we hung our hats on the fact that when somebody came into our store, we were going to show them a good time. And one of the things that I reminded our team members of all the time is nobody needs a kite.
yeah.
So, am I right? Nobody needs a kite. So, our whole mission was to give them the kind of experience that made them want a kite. And a lot of it was energy, but a lot of it was selling skills. Steve and I also learned very early on that if we weren't good salespeople, skilled salespeople, not just friendly and enthusiastic, but skilled salespeople, we weren't going to close enough. We weren't going to sell enough people to make our business go. So it was always about the experience. And, today with technology, independent retailers have such an opportunity to create a great experience, to have more in-store events, to do social selling lives, to do social lives. I mean, there's just so many opportunities for independent retailers to connect with their community, to connect with their customers. Every independent retailer should recognize this. You can't out Amazon. You can't out Walmart, but Amazon and Walmart together can't out you. So the opportunity, and it ties into your question about experience, the opportunity is to be yourself, to put the best version of yourself out there. And if you really do that, what's going to happen is you're going to attract birds of a feather flock together. And assuming that you want to give your customers a great experience when they're in your store, and assuming that you have made a commitment to being a more skilled merchant, then when you combine that authenticity with skills, that will sort of automatically translate into a customer experience, a really, really great customer experience. And when people come into your store and they get that great first experience, that's what sort of leads them into that customer journey, and it leads them into lifetime value. So the opportunity for, most of the people who are attending your show is to really understand, I have to be really good and I have to care about my customers. And if I do those two things, great things are going to happen.
So true. 97% of the retailers that come to ASD are business owned by families.
Yeah.
So they're mom and pops, and they love what they do. They serve the communities with interest and with love and support. So it's so compelling. I saw you and Susan on the stage a few months ago, and it was so nice because you made it an experience where you're dancing to the stage, and the first thing that you said you as an independent retailer are important, and you left it at that. You just kind of let the room settle for a minute, and then everyone kind of looked at each other like, yeah, we are important. And then you went on to the rest of it, and it was so good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But it is so true. I am so bullish on the future of independent retail right now, because let's talk about technology. Technology has been commoditized and democratized. And what do I mean by that? Commoditized. It's cheap. It used to be, the price of technology keeps coming down. And democratized means that it's available to everyone. So what was once the competitive advantage of big box stores, Walmart's, all of those big brands, Amazon, the technological advantages that they once had, they haven't been eliminated, but you start to think about this. QVC and Home Shopping Network used to be the way that people saw things from their living rooms.
You're right.
Now, if I own a small independent retail store, I can go live at any time. I do this all the time on our Whizbang retailers community. I have a thought, I push a button, we go live. Ta-da! And so there's just so many opportunities, again, for people who care and people who are willing to learn and develop new skills. The opportunities are just, I'm just so excited about the future of independent brick and mortar retail.
I think that's what makes it so important. So something that you and your team do that are so important is that when you do these summits and you bring these group of like-minded individuals into a room, it's very interesting because everyone is sharing ideas of what's working, what didn't work, what they could do better. And you see the light kind of go off of saying, oh, I'm not alone. And you know what? I have a pet store and you have a flower shop, but the similarities are just, they're on the same level and we can help each other.
That is so true. One of the things that the best business people or the smartest people do is they don't think laterally, so they think in context of connections. So, and I did some research around this and I couldn't find a definitive answer, but the chicken and the egg, did the banks have the first drive-through or did the restaurants have the first drive-through? Somebody had to have the idea, hey, let's knock a hole in the wall and let people drive through and we'll serve them that way. And the exact same thing holds true, with independent retailers. What works for a flower shop, to your point, Stephanie, what works for a flower shop that no other florists are doing may be perfect for a pet store.
Mhm.
And, so our highest level group is called the Platinum Mastermind Group. And that group is just really, there's a diversity of industries. And it's one of the things that makes the group so strong is because people are bringing the best practices from all industries and bringing it into one place to share.
For you, when you're talking to all these various retailers, what's the main advice today that you're giving them in terms of, is it how to get the utmost basket size out that door by giving the right kind of inventory, or is it about social selling? What is your top one or two items that you're telling them that they could be successful with?
Sure. So let's go up a level. So yes, managing inventory is critical. And the people, Susan always says, manage your inventory like your business depends on it, because it does.
Yeah.
But but that's a skill. So when I encourage people to think about their future, two things. One is vision. You have to know where you want to go. So if you want to be a single store that provides you with a great living and has a wonderful team and wonderful customers, and that's all you want, that's great. But then you're going to approach your business differently than if you said, hey, I want to have 20 stores across, I want to have 20 stores in 5 states, and, or I want to have 100 stores, or I want to be the next Walmart. Whatever your vision is, your vision is legitimate, but you have to be very clear on what it is. Because if you don't know where you're going, it's going to be more difficult to get there. So really, sitting down, and if you have a partner, talking about it. I've seen this happen a lot. 2 partners, one person wants to have a nice lifestyle, the other partner wants to grow. Getting really, really clear on what that vision is the first step. So the second step is this idea of mindset, skill set, and structure. And when I say mindset, there's a couple of things. One is just basically controlling the way that you think, being able to control your stress levels when the inevitable problems happen, but just really, having this positive, proactive, get things done mindset is the foundation of your success. But then after that, there's this skill set piece. And if you're not skilled, you're not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Too many independent retailers get into business because they have a passion for their product. Bob Negen, that's my story, right? That's my story. But one of the things that it took me a couple of years to learn is your passion for your product is not enough to make you profitable.
Oh, it's true.
And so I was trying to learn by figuring it out. And Steve and I were very, very good at failing fast, making big mistakes, but learning from them. But it was really when I met Susan and she brought those skills from, the department stores, and we layered those into what we were doing at the Mackinac Kite Company. But that was when our business really, really accelerated. So I see too many people who want to get better, but then aren't doing the things they need to do to get better. They're not investing their time and their money in skills. And that's why, what you are doing by making that boot camp available to everyone, who is coming to your show, everybody who's coming to your show should be in that boot camp, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a day of kick butt education. And, one good promotion from that day will make tens of thousands of dollars for you through the lifetime. So, but there's, we have identified 11 critical retail skills, and those are all the skills that are featured in our retail mastery system. But you have to be focused on getting better. Your passion is no longer enough. You have to say, look, I'm in business. I better become a good business person. And then the final piece, so that mindset, skill set, and the final piece is structure. Too many people are trying to work too hard and it burns them out. And then business isn't fun anymore. And structure is things like having an open to buy plan. You were talking about inventory management.
Yep.
Having a marketing plan. So you're not just shooting from the hip and just doing a promotion every time you need a little cash. Right? I mean, this happens all the time, right? Oh, I need money. What are we going to do? And then inevitably you have a sale with a discount associated with it. So you're just hurting your margins. So, but if you have a marketing plan that really spells out what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, all of a sudden your marketing becomes so much more effective. And then finally, another thing that's really, really important is training. If your people aren't getting the same information in the same tone from the same person every single time, they're not going to be able to give your customers an experience because they don't quite know what to do. And they'd rather not screw up, so they hold back. So, I mean, that's a really, really broad look at a very specific question you gave. I hope you don't mind that I sort of took it up a level, but that's really where it's at.
Well, Bob, that's why we're having you and your team come out in March. It's March 8th. It's the Saturday before the show even starts. And what we're so excited about is that you have to invest in yourself to make sure that your business survives, and not only survives, it's super successful. So I think that what you just toned in on, there's different elements that fuel the business. And it's the best way to start before you shop a floor. So we've got all this inventory and product, which is great. And you're going to find amazing stuff. But if you can't put the pieces together and make sure that you're stable as an organization, it doesn't mean anything. I was on the Tesla Loop, which is this amazing thing that takes people to the convention center. And the gal's name was Ruth from the Village Barn. And she actually took your course
I know
in
Ruth.
1996. And I said, do you know Bob? And she goes, he's the reason my business is what it is today. And I think she's up to like 3 or 4 stores. And she said, I didn't know what I was doing until I met Bob.
So a quick story about Ruth. She doesn't have 3 or 4 stores. Her store is massive. So I did a speaking job in Berlin where, her store is. And, she was like, can you come see me? Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, you know, when people say I have a gift shop, you think, oh, okay, it's like, wow, Ruth. Here's something else, just a funny aside. They made a life-size cardboard cutout of me that they
Oh,
put in their training room because they use so many of our materials. And when I heard that, I was a little embarrassed, to tell you the truth.
celebrity.
Yeah, oh, wow, okay. But yeah, so but it goes to this whole idea. People get really, really frustrated because they're not getting what they set out to get.
That's right.
And it's really important, if for everybody who's watching this, if you're frustrated, this becomes even more important. But this whole idea of what you did got you to where you are. And good for you. The fact that you own a business says enormous things about you and your courage and your ability to do something. To even get that store open says so much about you, so many positive things about you. But it's frustrating to me, as somebody who's been through this and as somebody who is passionate about the success of independent retailers, to see people get that far, to have the courage to open the store, but then not take the next step to say, hey, I need to learn some things. I am not where I need to be. I need to invest in myself. I need to go, when I'm at the ASD show, I need to go a day early. I need to sit my butt in a room. I need to learn. I mean, truly, I have to open my mind. And so, and that whole thing with Ruth, I mean, it's made a huge difference in her business. But she had this giant place and she was struggling. And, it's not about me. This conversation is not about me and how great I can teach people. It's really about the fact that Ruth recognized she was not where she needed to be. She had a business that was working, but it wasn't working the way she wanted it to work. And so she needed to take the next step. And she did. And she's doing great because of it.
Which is a testimonial and an invitation for anyone that's coming out to ASD. So I want to dig in a little bit. It's called Power Promotions, Max Your Sales. It stars you and your beautiful wife, Susan. Take it. Is it more of a full day, like workshop with education components, or walk us through that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to focus on, and this was very intentional with the ASD show, because it ties in so perfectly. What we're going to talk about is promotions and special events. That's going to be the essence of what we talk about. And, so you asked earlier, how can you give your customers a great experience? Well, promotions and special events are one of the ways. And let's be really, really clear about this. A lot of people, and this was me for many, many, many years, thought that if I did any kind of promotion or special event, I needed to have a store-wide discount associated with it. And because Steve and I loved doing promotions and special events, and because promotions and special events bring money into the bank account, we were doing a lot of them, right? Oh, we need money. What are we going to do? Oh, we need money. What are we going to do? And what we ended up doing was we ended up training our customers to wait for the next promotion and special event or special event. So what we learned was, first and foremost, you don't have to have a store-wide discount associated with your promotion and special events. I sort of want to put that in there. But then what we're going to do is we're going to really, really talk about the different types of promotions, the different types of special events, what kinds do have some discounts associated with it. So for instance, one of the, a lot of promotions are driven by an item, right? One thing at a deep discount that will drive people into the store. And then once you get them in the store, then the rest of your great merchandise mix, your highly trained sales team converts them and sells them more stuff. And this is where ASD, and this is why together we came up with this topic, because so many of our better clients shop ASD, or they shop specifically for different promotions they have throughout the year at ASD. So what are they doing? I mean, they're looking for great merchandise for sure. And there's a lot of great merchandise, but they're also looking for merchandise that has great margins that really, really fit into specific promotions. So when people leave the room from Power Promotions, they're going to have the rough outline of an annual promotions calendar. They're going to understand what they're doing and why they're doing those promotions. And then they're also going to have some idea of how to go out on the floor and take advantage of that, right? Because if you can have a promotion that has some discounts associated with it and still maintain your margins, hallelujah, right? That's what we're doing. That's really, that's what really is great.
It's priceless, as the airlines or the
Priceless. I
American
like it.
Express
I like
says.
it. I like it.
But you can't get that anywhere else. And so it will be March 8th. I'm going to put it in the links below. But I guess on that end, I kind of want to get your final thoughts or advice. We're going into 2025. We're going to equip people of how to do these promotional goods, how to successfully navigate ASD, which has access to all kinds of inventory at great margins. But
Yeah.
retailers are scared right now. I think there's a lot of uncertainty. And so I guess that ending this conversation today, what's the hope and positivity of like, this is the future and this is what we can do together?
It's so interesting that you say this, because when I'm done here, I am going to make, for Whizbang Retailers, our Facebook group, I am going to make a video about this, because the world is exceedingly weird right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exceedingly weird. And, so I've been doing this for a long time, right? I've been doing this. I think I've lived through 5 recessions, but right now it's exceedingly weird. A lot of it has to do with the political climate here in the US, and, and it's really divided. And this is not about politics at all, but there are 2 extremely different worldviews that are happening, and everybody believes strongly in what they believe. And it's almost half and half. So half the people are afraid that the other half are going to win, vice versa. And I think that anxiety around the other side winning is preoccupying people. And, I get caught up in it too, right? I think that everybody does. So the thing that I'm going to say on this video that I'm going to say, I'm thinking out loud here, is you have to, 2 things. One, if politics are what's making you anxious, limit yourself to 1 look a day. I'm trying to do that, right? I was brought up in a very political household. And so it's natural for me to want to see it and read about it and understand it and have understandings. But last week I started that, right? I'm going to look once. I'm going to see the headlines. If I need to go any a little deeper, I'll do it, but you can't. If that means you turn off social media, you get off social media. There's this doom loop, right? That all of a sudden you get caught in the mentality that isn't conducive to success. So what we have to do is there's this idea of mindfulness. You're always watching what your mind is thinking and what it is saying. And so you have to really pay attention to your thoughts. You have to make sure that your thoughts focus on the future, that your thoughts focus on prosperity, not lack, It's really easy to get stressed out. Times are slow. I'm having a hard time, driving people into my store. So really, it's about, first and foremost, be aware of how you're feeling and just being aware of it. is usually enough to dissipate a lot of that anxiety. Oh, I'm stressed. But then also move forward, do something. And, it too will pass. Like I said, I mean, I'm going to date myself here. Well, I was when I started the Mackinac Kite Company, I was 23. It was 1982, right? It's my birthday on Wednesday, and I'm going to be 68 years old. I'm
Happy
embarrassed to say that, but so the point is that I've been through so many things, and the name of the game is to choose not to participate.
Mm-hmm.
So you came to the Retail Success Summit in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
It was at DeVos Convention Hall. You may have stayed in the Amway Grand Hotel.
Certainly did.
Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel are the people who are the co-founders of Amway, are the two people who are single-handedly responsible for, or primarily responsible for, the revitalization of downtown Grand Rapids. They said, we're going to do this. And they invested millions and millions and millions of their dollars into rebuilding what used to be the Pantland Hotel. The Amway Grand is now the Pantland Hotel. Building the convention center, building the DeVos, Performance Center. And their name is everywhere. Van Andel Arena. But when the business press interviewed Rich DeVos about this, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of investment, they said, you're doing this, there's a recession. Why did you choose to do this during a recession? He said, I'm not looking at it as a recession. I'm choosing not to participate. And so, this whole idea of it's going to change. And actually, Stephanie, and everybody who's watching this, here's something else. When everybody else is anxious, everybody else is holding back, this is your opportunity to gobble up market share. It's your opportunity to be brave. It's your opportunity to do more. It's your opportunity to be different. Everybody else is pulling back. This is your opportunity to show courage and do fun, interesting things, to make the things that, to your point about experience, that make people feel good about coming into your store.
That's so perfect. And I think that's a great way to end, because it's protect yourself, because there's some things you have no control over, but you do have control of how you envision your business and how you want to move forward. And there's great holidays that are coming up. There's always something to celebrate. And I think now more than ever, people need to say, I want to step away from that, but I need something to catch my eye to say, oh, it's spooky season, right? Or Christmas or Hanukkah, or there's somebody's birthday and I want to get them something really fun and cheeky. So there's opportunity should you let yourself see it, but don't get blindsided by negativity, because it'll destroy your business. So it's such great insight.
They haven't canceled Christmas.
Yeah.
They haven't canceled Christmas. There's still trillions of dollars floating out there, folks. The question is, are you going to get yours? And the answer is, if you go get yours, you'll get yours. So
that's right. Well, I'm so excited that we got to jump on this call, and I can't wait for March 8th of 2025. Quickly, if people want to follow you, because again, you're always giving great advice and there's different programs that people can be part of. How do people follow you and Whizbang, and what's the best social channel?
Sure, absolutely. I'll recommend two things in particular right now. One is to sign up for the Retail Buzz. That is, our sort of our main email list. And if you sign up there, go to whizbangtraining.com. There's an H in Whizbang. And we also have a Facebook group called Whizbang Retailers. And it's relentlessly positive. There's it's a great community. You talked about community. And so, yes, people feel alone a lot, and you are not alone. And Whizbang Retailers is a great way to connect with other people.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. This was lovely. TBD, it's going to continue. Make sure you grab those tickets on the link and come join us in Vegas. I'll even be giving personal tours on Sunday and Monday, so you can walk the floor, get exposure to it. But Bob, enjoy the rest of the week with you and your wife. And thanks again for being a part of it.
Well, Stephanie, again, it's an honor. If you ever want me back, I'm here for you.
3,
You're right.
2, 1.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsor and partner, Cole Imports and Closeouts. Cole Imports and Closeouts is your premier supplier for thousands of products since 1985. Their experience in the industry, combined with their extensive and fresh line of retail products at wholesale prices, allows them to be your one-stop shop for all merchandise needs. Make sure you check them out at their website at www.coleimports.com.